chills. Chills is the best way to put that. It was well said by Luke Weilman on the broadcast. On Friday, Canada punched their ticket to the Copa America semifinal. Nick McVicker, Josh Palermo with you today. And Josh, since we last talked, Canada clinched a spot in the knockout stage. The women's team announced their roster, which we talked about last show, I guess, kind of. But, I mean, still, you know what I mean. We had some CPL action. The MLS team's still doing horrible, can't get a win. None of the MLS teams can get a win. But there's really one conversation to be had because Friday night, amid a lot of potential issues that could have arose, the Canadian men's national team booked their ticket to the Copa semifinal with a penalty shootout win against Venezuela. It came down to 6 kickers. There was 2 misses by Canada. There was 3 misses by Venezuela. Well, misses, I mean, not converted penalties, obviously, because not all of them actually missed.
Yeah.
What a moment, what a match. I want to get into it. I want to get into what's going to happen tonight when they play against Argentina, but we have to go back to go forward. So let's go back to the Chile match, Josh, and I want to get your opinion on this one. What did you think of the match? I know it was a 0-0 draw, which was all Canada ended up needing. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the play of the team? And then we'll get into the Venezuela match after, okay?
No, it was certainly a tight affair. I think it was not one where I walked away from that game going, I'm overly confident now. You know what I mean? I think when you just squeeze by with the result, it's not one of those things where I'm just brimming with hope. That being said, I think there's still a lot of positive takeaways from that, and each match that this team has played, they've gotten better, and that's been the biggest thing. And Richie Larey's made that comment that they're not the same squad that they were 3 weeks ago, and I think we've seen that. And so, albeit it was hard fought, it was enough. And I think they carry that as momentum. You know what I mean? Like, sitting there as a fan, I was not overly like, yeah, this is fantastic. That being said, I think that it's been fantastic for the guys, and I just think just the brotherhood has been my biggest takeaway from it. I know it's been kind of a narrative that's existed in Canada soccer since Herman stepped in, and then he did a fantastic job of creating that. But there's something special and unique about this squad, and I think that matches like the Chile match reflect that. They hunkered down. It's not always pretty. They fight tooth and nail, and they get the result, and that's what matters. And I mean, that's what's going to get you to win a tournament. That's what you need to do at the end of the day. You just need to get the result, and you need to show up for your guys, and they've been able to do that so far.
It's true. They really have, and they've done a great job. The Chile match, a lot of people were very, very upset about the officiating. And I want to get into it, but I want to give my opinions on the match first. Canada did what they needed to do. Was it pretty? No. Was it effective? Yes. They got the result. They understood the assignment. They got there. Again, was it pretty? Absolutely not. But it was effective. The refereeing. Now, Josh, everyone I heard from hated the refereeing in this match. They were very disappointed, saying it was very one-sided. I went back and watched the match again at double speed. I wasn't taking another hour and a half to watch it again.
No, it's too much time.
But I actually thought if you went through the whole game and not just half by half, the ref was pretty fair throughout the match as a whole. And I say that because in the first half, he was very heavily favoring Canada. And I shouldn't say very heavily, but he was favoring Canada. And then in the second half, he was favoring Chile. And it's unfortunate because that's not how you want these matches to go. I actually had a conversation about this at work today with a couple people talking about both the Euro and the Copa, where in the Euro, we haven't been talking about the officials.
It's true. It's very true.
That is the telling tale of a very good officiated tournament, when you're not talking about the officials and you're not talking about decisions made by the officials.
Yeah.
Is it ideal? No. Because you want to be saying that they were good, but a good official is probably one you're not talking about. On 100%. The flip side, the Copa has not been officiated very well as a whole. Has it been horrendous for most of the games? No. Has there been a couple games where it's been horrendous? Absolutely. I used to officiate. I'm the last person to get on officials. I do not do it. I will go and talk to officials throughout the match saying, hey, how's it going when I'm playing? Right? Because they're there to do a job.
Yeah.
It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been great in the Copa. And yes, the game against Chile, the official was probably the worst against Canada at any point. But over the whole match, I don't think he was favoring one team over the other. What do you think about that? Am I crazy for saying that? What are your thoughts?
I don't disagree at all. I think that is kind of an unfortunate thing that ultimately happens, that you're seeing in this Copa a little bit, where there will be decisions that are made where they say, you know what, we didn't necessarily make the right call here. We have to make up for that in certain ways. And I think you see that as a result when you say, yeah, we gave a lot of Canada's way. The second half, we're going to do the same thing. Like, I don't like with that Schaffelberg challenge against Peru. You have an incident that happens between Alistair Johnson in the first half that should have resulted in a card, and we talked about this, didn't, and then it was made up for later on in the game. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that. It's a fascinating thing. What is it that results in not having the most technical officials? Is it that the games are more physical? Is it that the pitches are smaller, which is resulting in those physical battles? Are people fighting tooth and nail for this kind of stuff, so it's getting aggressive? It's complicated. I don't know. I feel like more often than not, European officials are getting those bigger games, so they have that under their belt. They have that perspective. I'm like, every time I turn on the Euros and they're introducing the officiating, they're going, yeah, he just finished. He was reffing the semifinals of the World Cup. He was reffing the finals of the World Cup. You're not really seeing that with a lot of the South American referees. Does a lack of experience result in not as great decision making? I don't know. It's weird. Like, they have VAR. They have the same tools as the European referees. I wonder if it is just a different experience. I don't know if we want to say lack of, because obviously they're officiating games, but it's a different thing. I think I don't know. South American soccer to me is just a completely different game.
Well, it is 100%.
It's a different culture,
I'm not arguing
different
that.
Perspective.
It's 100% a different game.
That gets reflected through the officiating. Yeah. And it's not always going to be super tight, but
and that's fair. And I just wanted to make sure we got ahead of that, because it was a big talking point after the Chile match. But then, we move on and we go and play Venezuela, right? And you need to win now. We are now in the knockout stage. It was a huge match, and it was a largely Venezuelan contingent at the field. We know that. And that's how it's going to be probably in New Jersey tonight against Argentina. Although I've been seeing a lot that there's a lot of fans in New York, which is great. I love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
But there's probably going to be more Argentinian fans than there are Canadian fans. And that is okay. That is fine. Canada goes in. They play Venezuela. And I thought they looked really good.
Oh, yeah.
I have to point out, I was watching while playing hockey. So in between shifts, I had my phone on the bench behind my water bottle. I had multiple teammates asking me, "What the hell are you doing?" But I'm like, "No, we're watching the game. This is an important game. I'm watching the game." And I managed to see Schaffelberg's goal, which was a fantastically worked goal. Quick throw in down the line. They get it to David, who feeds it back across, and Schaffelberg makes a run from the far side of the field to the near post, where he should never be in a normal game. But he made a great run, and Canada goes up 1-0. That moment was huge. That changed the tide of the entire game. Maritime Messi did what he needed to do. And as you said, it was electrifying. It was electrifying. And then we kept playing. We didn't turtle shell like England, who are somehow still in the Euros, by the way. I can't believe it. They don't deserve to be there the way they're playing.
No, they don't deserve. No.
The way they're playing, they don't deserve to be there. But the way they get results, fine. Absolutely. Good on you. I will give you a ton of credit for getting results. I will never downplay getting results. But, God, they don't deserve to be in this tournament. They've looked awful, and it really bothers me. Anyways, not the tournament we're talking
No,
about.
I think if Italy had made it as far, I'd feel the same way. I'd be like, I don't want to watch this. When they got kicked out, I was like, thankfully,
Thank
I don't have to
God.
set my eyes on this anymore, and I get to look toward Canada, which is a group of guys that actually know how to play a little bit of football,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah, and they've been playing really well, and I think the addition of Larea and Oso into the starting lineup, and I mean the injury to Tejan may have facilitated that more so because a lot of people were wanting him back into the lineup against Venezuela. I think the addition of Larea and Oso into this starting lineup is so key for this side. I think Oso's
100%.
presence in that middle is so strong, and he has that calming effect on all of the young guys because he doesn't let things bother him. Larea is just a firecracker. He brings the energy down that wing. He makes great runs, and I will say I've been very impressed with his crossing into the box in this tournament. It's been probably his best distribution I've seen from him because that's not something he's necessarily known for.
Well, no, he's playing further up the pitch, right? Like
He's playing
I
further,
think,
but
yeah,
he's not known for putting in good crosses, even from like
that's
a
true.
wing
Yeah,
back position. That's not something he's known for. But he's been doing really well at it in this tournament, so I will give him his flowers on that. We still need more scoring, but this squad looked really good against Venezuela. I know it ended up having to go to kicks, and they gave up the goal to Rondon on the Crapo mistake / Marsh decision to play the keeper further up. It's a little bit of a give and take on that one. Crapo
that's a
will
dicey
say it's
one.
his fault. Marsh is saying it's his fault. It's probably both.
100%. I like that. I like that Jesse took the. Yeah, that's a good coach. It's a sign of a
Yes.
good coach, I think.
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
he's stuck by the guys the whole time, and I like that for sure. It's tough. I will say it's very anxiety inducing watching how far we commit players up the pitch, and I was like waiting for it to bite us. Like I was like something is gonna happen, and then it did. And then I just, as the cynic that I am, I was like, it's over. That's it. They scored. They tied. I was like, complete.
But this group doesn't give up, even when they're down.
They
Even
don't
in the
give up.
Argentina game, when they were down 2-0, they did not give up at any point in that match.
I will maintain, and I said it after that match. We could have won that game. We
Yes.
could have won it, and we agreed on that. Had it not been, well, at least a draw. Had it not been the case that Messi being Messi, but you got a guy who's coming off an injury in this game.
Yep.
We'll get to that. We'll get to all that stuff. But yeah, man, Richie's been absolutely incredible. And in tournaments, you need guys like that who are just going to step up. And he's had such a I think there's a lot to be said for that. There's so many great talking points about the Canadian men's national team. Like there's been a lot of great stories, a lot of good breakout stars. Jacob Schaffelberg's been absolutely phenomenal. Moise Bombito, Derek Cornelius, but I mean, nobody's talking about Richie Larea and what he's been through. I don't think there's enough light that's been shed on that. I mean, you have a guy who's been bouncing around. He kind of had a chance in Europe, and then Nottingham Forest makes it out of the championship. He ends up in Vancouver, which as a TFC fan, I was just a little upset about. Sorry, folks. But and then the injury, and he's out for a significant amount of time. And I was a doubter myself when he was immediately inserted into the lineup in the second match, of the group stage. But he has shown up. He has shown up, and he's been a leader, and he's found it. He's found it. He's been in wonderful form, and that's just it. It's he's been special. He's been through a lot, but he's been able to pull through, and it's been a wonderful thing to watch.
It really has. And he's a guy that, as I said, he just brings that energy every time he's on the pitch, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes he does go a little bit above and beyond, which, I mean, I can't necessarily blame the guy. He just plays with that fire, and sometimes it brings you to the edge. I remember playing against him as a kid. It's been the same since he was 10, right? He still has the same fire.
You need the tenacity.
Right.
I think he brings a whole other side to the game. We don't necessarily have a quote unquote gritty squad. I don't think. I think when I think of a lot of South American teams, they have those elements.
Yeah.
There's not a significant number of guys who are like that. And I think Marsh understood that, and that's why he thrust him into the lineup so quickly. But it's the fact that he's been so much more than that, which has been the brilliant thing.
Yeah. And I mean, the great thing about it is that you have him on the right side now, and you have Davies and Schaffelberg on the left. That's a lot of speed running at teams, and I think that's Canada's biggest advantage when they're going up against pretty much anybody is that no, I can't think of any team right now in international soccer that has enough speed on the wings, especially in the wing back positions, to slow down all three of those guys. And you add Tejan. Tejan's a quick dude too. That's a lot of speed, and Canada needs to utilize that a little bit more heading forward. We'll quickly touch on the kicks. I would say it wasn't the best penalty kicks I've ever seen from either side, to be fair, but not the best.
Yeah.
There was a couple that were really good though, and I want to focus on those ones because we know I know everyone knows penalty kicks are not easy, so I'm not going to necessarily fault guys all the time. If it consistently happens, then we got to have a conversation that hey, maybe you shouldn't be taking them anymore. But one off for most of these guys, I'm not going to say anything. Bombito steps up, lasers in his eyes, doesn't even really notice them, and crushes a penalty shot. That was
the coldest image I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, just, I already had so much respect for him, and then he's getting a green laser pointed into his eye, and I'm like screaming at my television. I'm like, what is happening right now? And just stone cold Steve Austin. Like, he's just looking at the ball, and he just strikes it, and I went crazy. Yeah. Nothing but all kinds of respect and admiration for Moise Bombito.
And that's a guy that I'm pretty sure, and I've tried to look this up, but it's a very hard stat to find. I'm pretty sure that's his first professional spot kick. Like at the professional level.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obvious. I'm assuming he's taken some at the lower levels, but I believe that's his first professional spot kick.
Yeah. I mean, he got drafted by the Rapids right out of college, right? And he's not taking spot kicks for the Colorado Rapids.
I don't think they've been in one with him, and I don't think he's taken one. So I believe that was his first professional spot kick, and he stepped up in that moment and just crushed it. And Crepeau made a good save on the one, knocking it just to the post, which was unbelievable. And then Kone steps up.
I love it.
And he does the slow build-up with, by the way, I hate the fact that everyone stutter steps now. Oh, my God.
Please, I mean, Jorginho's the reason that Italy didn't make it to the last World Cup, and that's his whole shtick, so I get it.
Oh, my God. Really? Are we really doing this? This is a joke, right? Like, you can't come to a stop. That's why the Lewandowski one in the Euros really pissed me off. Because he came to a full stop. But all these stutter steps, like, all you're doing is causing more chance that you might trip. Like, actually, that's what I think every time I see it. That's every time I see it. That's exactly what I think. Anyways, not the conversation we were having, but Kone steps up and just spots it home. And then he turns around and he just smiles. Doesn't run, doesn't do like a crazy celebration. He turns around and just smiles. Like, that is cold right there. That is ice cold. Him and Bombito. Excuse me. Him and Bombito. Just both ice in their veins. And good on Alphonso Davies for stepping up. Good on Jonathan David, who missed his, I believe, right? Did David miss?
No, David scored.
David scored. I'm trying to think of who missed, because we had two guys miss. Liam Miller missed one. And who was the other guy who missed? I thought it was David, the fifth shot. I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
I know.
But like, you can't really. I don't want to get on the guys who missed because they know it. It wasn't It weren't good shots. But sorry, Jonathan David and Miller and Eustachio missed. David, Bombito, Davies, and Kone all scored.
There we go.
So, and Eustachio's was not good either. Miller and Eustachio's kicks were bad. We know that. We get that. But the ones that scored were very good. And we need more of that confidence.
Yes.
Because
I was live tweeting the game. And
yes, you were. And you did a great job, by the way, folks. I have to give him credit. I did not. I was, on the ice. It would have been very, very dangerous to be trying to live tweet.
Too many things at once there. You're watching the game amongst the water bottles there and also trying to live tweet it. No, but I just quickly, it was because I think I had made a comment that Liam Miller had to cut the mullet because he missed the chance. I said it was bad aerodynamics, it wasn't working for him. And then he missed the pen, and it was just extra fuel for it. I was just like, if we're going to blame anything, that's the problem. So sorry, as you were saying.
I was just going to say, that's that confidence that the guys who scored had. Bombitos, the Kones, the Davies, the David. That's the confidence that they need to carry forward, because today is the day that they take on Argentina in the Copa semifinal. And by the way, I want to say this right now. The fact that we are guaranteed 6 matches in the Copa. If you had told me that pre-tournament we were going to play 6 matches, whether we were make it to the gold medal game or the bronze medal game, I would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe less than a heartbeat. It's exactly what this team needs, is to be playing more competitive games in big tournaments, in big moments, and now we are getting that. We will be playing 6 matches against top quality teams. Not a single team that we are going to play in this tournament is a bad side. The lowest ranked team was Venezuela. The lowest ranked team was Venezuela.
And I think they came 4th in the competition in 2019. It was 2021. Like they
In the last one, I believe it was 20.
in the last one. So
I
it's a
think it was
2021
actually
competition.
2022. Just, I don't know. It was a weird thing.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So,
they are a good side.
yeah.
Not a great side. Just like I said, I think I said it on this show last time we were here, but Canada is now a good side. Chile is a good side. Venezuela is a good side. The difference is between those sides and the great sides, the Frances, the Argentinas, the Uruguays, the Colombias. They're still trying to learn how to be great. They have the talent. I think Canada has the talent to compete, but they're still learning how to be great, whereas Argentina already knows how to do it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean a good side can't beat a great side.
And that's just it.
Right? So I'm going into this match with optimism. Do I think Canada's going to win? If I had to put money on it, my answer is no. But would I be shocked if they win? Absolutely not. They have a legitimate chance in this game. Argentina has not looked good, and we're moving forward now, by the way. We're moving to today. They have not looked great in this tournament. Have they got results? Absolutely. And I'm not, again, you can't take anything away from the results. But the way we expect Argentina to play, they have not lived up to their expectations. They've had a couple guys who played really, really well. Martinez up front is a great example of that, and Emi Martinez in that has also been very good, right? But overall, I would say this is probably a disappointing performance in the Copa, despite getting to the semis for Argentina.
Oh yeah, like I think the Euros has given us the best example of that, where at some point you can be playing football that's just going to get you by, but you're going to run into a side that's got heart, that's got a great tactical vision, and is going to outpace you. And I think that's what we saw with France and Spain today. Like that's where my head immediately goes, because that's just it. I mean, France and Argentina, both squads that were in the World Cup final, both fantastic teams, but France made it all the way to the semifinals of the Euros, and they hadn't scored a goal from open play.
Yep. And then they got one in like the first 8 minutes, but whatever.
It's true. And I think that's what I said. I was like, finally, oh my God, they did it. But Spain outclassed them. Do I think that Canada is going to outclass Argentina? No. That being said, I think that we have...
No.
Yeah. I think we have the quality to push us past that, And like, we have the benefit of the fact that we've already played them once, and we played them for the first time. It was only 2-0. Like...
Yep. And it was 2 incredible Messi assists to get to 2-0.
And he's coming off an injury.
Yep.
He's coming off an injury. One day I'm not gonna hit my mic while we speak. All right,
You'll figure out the spatial awareness at some point.
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure it out. But yeah, like I don't know. I think that there will be a way to neutralize Messi. I think that we have the confidence. I think that we have the skill set to do it, and that's just it. Argentina's not been playing at the best that they're capable of. I think you have an aging side, and I think Canada has the momentum. They have youth, and they have the pace, and they know that the only way Argentina can score is by passing through them, and they're not going to let it happen. I'm confident.
Okay, I got a question for you, and I actually heard this on TSN 1050 this morning on First Up. I'm going to pose it to you because I think it was a very fair question. Canada played Argentina in match 1, and obviously you get the experience, but which is more beneficial? Canada getting the experience of playing Argentina so that they get the nerves out, they know that they can be on the pitch with a side like this, or is it more beneficial to Argentina because now they know what Canada's about? They're not going to be surprised like they were against Saudi Arabia in the World Cup. They're not going to be kind of caught off guard. They know what Canada is. They've seen this team play. They know the players that are going to be coming at them. Who do you think it benefits more in this case to have played that earlier match in the tournament?
Canada.
I think it benefits Canada.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like you're coming off a stretch of games where you've played the Netherlands, you've played France, like you just back to back. You played the 1 and 2 teams in the world.
Yep.
And I go back to what I said initially. Jesse Marsch was still really trying to get his tactical vision clear with these guys. And I think that Argentina faced the Canada side that was in the Copa America for the first time ever. And there's a little bit of nerves and there's a little bit of there's not clarity necessarily. Like we had to have guys prove themselves in this tournament, like guys like a Jacob Schaffelberg who earned themselves a starting spot. We saw Ismail Kone go to the bench. Jonathan Osorio steps up. We have had the time and the growth to make those decisions, to have a clearer vision, and I think the pressure's on Argentina. So I think because of all of those factors, the advantage is Canada 100%. I think Argentina will have their backs up against the wall. I think Argentinian fans might be a little bit nervous. I don't know. Like I think had I been in their shoes, I don't
think they're nervous, unfortunately. I wish, but I don't think they are.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me thinking about if I was in their shoes. But I think that there's a seed of doubt. There has to be a little bit of a seed of doubt that says we could go out. But
yeah, it's funny. I'm curious to see how Argentina fans actually think heading into a match against Canada, right? Because they're used to playing these games. They're used to watching these matches, the fans. Do they see us as a legitimate threat? Right? Like we see all of what the American media kind of says about us. Just because we get American media here.
No, I know.
I don't.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So what do the pundits say? Like Canada should not be making it out of the group stage. We got grouped, and here Canada is.
Yeah.
They really don't want.
Well, here Canada is in the semifinal, so they have to win a game too. You didn't just get grouped; you lost. Suck it. But we see all the American media and the American fan reaction because that's just like where we are in Canada. That's what we get. Yeah. I'm genuinely curious what Argentina fans and media kind of think of this Canada squad because they are young. They're inexperienced in big tournaments. We have, this group of players, I'm not all of them, but this group of players has 7 major tournament matches under their belt, if you count the 3 in the World Cup and the 4 this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've played a bunch of international matches. I'm not saying that, but World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF really comes down to like 5 teams, maybe 6. You know what I mean? Like they're not all competitive matches, and I know they're not all competitive in Europe, and they're not all competitive in Southern. I get that, but they're playing more competitive teams when you get down to the nitty gritty. And Canada hasn't played in big tournaments prior to that. Like the Gold Cup is a continental tournament, absolutely, no doubt about it. But it's not the same competition level that we're talking about being in the Euros, in AFCON, in Copa. Like those are different tournaments. Those are the quality level is different. And
the Gold Cup was so bad this past summer. I mean, our main guys didn't even want to come.
No, not that they didn't want to come. They didn't.
But it was for other reasons. But yeah.
Let's not get into that because I think every single player on this team wants to be there. It's not the point. I do believe that you're right that I think it benefited Canada more to play Argentina. But I do think it does benefit Argentina a little bit because they kind of know what to expect. They're not going to get caught off guard like they did against Saudi Arabia in the World Cup. Like, remember that was a huge upset. Right?
I was up at 5 a.m. on my couch watching that game.
Right?
And
that was
like,
a huge upset. I don't think they're going to get caught like that, but that doesn't mean Canada can't win this game. And I am genuinely curious if Argentina fans and Argentina media truly think this is going to be a tough match against Canada because we think it will be. But again, how much of that is a biased love for the team and how much of that is the truth? Because I think it's kind of both. I think it's on a scale somewhere in the middle, right? I do think this Canada team is very tough to break down. They've only given up 3 goals in 4 games, right? They didn't get scored against France, who I know weren't starting their big, but still, they didn't get scored against France, who their B side is better than over half the CONCACAF teams. You know what I mean? This defensively is a very good side, and Argentina needed 2 incredible Messi through vision passes to break down that thing, well, other than the over-the-top balls, but that's not how they normally play. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. And again, I would love to have a Argentina fan's perspective on what they think of this Canada side. We don't have that, obviously, so we can't get it, so don't worry about it.
It's out the window.
But let's get into what we expect from the lineup, what we expect from this match itself. So I believe that they're probably going to go with the same starting 11 that they had in the last few matches because, again, I just think it's working. I think the introduction of Osorio has really calmed the midfield down and allowed everybody to be at their best. Eustachio looks like a different player when Oso's on the pitch. Even the back line just looks more competent. Bombito and Cornelius, who are both very young, having that presence of Oso in the middle, I think just calmed everybody down. And Larrea is kind of the de facto guy on the right now with Tejan being out. So I think that doesn't change. And I don't think anyone else deserves to get dropped to the bench either. As much as I would love to get the introduction of Kone into the lineup, I don't know if it makes sense to mess with the chemistry that this 11 has right now. I know you think differently. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in person because we kind of texted about it, but I want to hear your thoughts. So what do you got for the 11?
I think it's more hopeful. I think I've settled on the fact that I wholeheartedly don't think there will be any changes.
Okay.
I would like to see changes. I'd like to see, as I think I mentioned last episode, bring Kone back into the midfield, have Jonathan Osorio moved up to the 10, and then have David be our number 9. Because, yes, Kyle Aaron's had some wonderful link-up play. I don't think he's given us anything that shows that he's been the most prolific goal scorer for Canada this tournament.
I will argue that later. Continue.
So that's I guess that wishful thinking. In March's 4-2-3-1, I'd like to get Jonathan David out of the 10. He's not a freaking 10. It's wasted talent, in my opinion. You got to move him up top. I am curious to hear what you have to say. New idea. Do you drop Larry into that 10 because he seems to be that guy that can No.
God, no.
So that's my wishful thinking. You know, I'd like to see that formation.
So you just basically want to see David out of the 10 and Kone back in.
Yeah, I think like he's shown his composure. I've loved listening to the interviews that he's given. I've grown to really like Ishmael Kone just like as a guy.
Yeah.
This tournament. So for sure, it's tough. I was a very hard critic of him in the first 2 games. I was just like,
he wasn't great. He was inconsistent. He had flashes of good moments, but he just was inconsistent. And unfortunately, when it comes to tournament play, you need to be consistent to be on the pitch. So he lost his starting gig, but he's responded very well. And coming off the bench, he doesn't look lost, which some guys do.
I think it's a great role for him right now. It's kind of fun when they're talking about, are we going to bring Schaffelberg in? Is he going to start? What's that going to look like? Is he a guy that can only come off of the bench? Almost the inverse of that is I think it has been kind of a great thing for Kone to come off the bench in this tournament. So, yeah, I think that's just it. Like the 11 that we have, you're right. They've built the chemistry. And like that is your best 11.
Yeah.
It's the goal scoring for me where there's a huge thing that we're lacking, and a lot of that's been finishing. It's not been an issue where we can't create chances, we just can't put them away. But I think that if Coach Josh was in charge, you make those changes, and I think immediately, we'd score 2-0. We'd be up 2-0 in the first 15. But anyways,
of course. Okay, I agree with you that Kone being introduced would be nice, but I don't see where he goes because my argument for keeping Larin in the pitch is defensively. He's actually been very good as the 9 because he presses the ball very well. And he's actually probably had the best chances of our strike force in the box consistently. Outside of the goal that David scored. Because Schaffelberg's was kind of like a throw-in play. Everything kind of just sort of happened, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a great goal. I'm not taking anything away from it because it was a great goal. But run of play goals, run of play opportunities, Larin puts himself in the right spot. And you know what? I'm actually going to bring this back to a CPL conversation that I've had with people before. And it's very, very simple because I said this about Brian Wright at the end of last season and the beginning of this season for York United, and even a little bit in Ottawa. Because if you watch the way he plays, he gets into the right positions constantly. He's making good runs. He's getting in behind defenses. He's putting himself in a spot to score. He just wasn't converting the chances.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing from Kyle Larin with the national team for about a year now. He's putting himself in really, really good spots. He's giving himself the opportunity. He just hasn't converted. And I think once he does, we're going to see what Brian Wright has done in the CPL this year where the dam broke and this guy is now scoring in bunches. If Kyle can get one goal, one chance to convert, and it goes in, I think the dam will burst.
Yeah,
like if
fair.
we really think about it, he is always in the right position. And I've been a very tough critic of Kyle for his entire career, okay? But I always have said this. He makes really good runs in behind the line. Positionally, he knows where he needs to be, and he's giving himself opportunities. One goal goes in. One. And I think he is going to go on a run. And if it happens tonight, watch out, because that could be the catalyst for a potential Copa final.
That'd be crazy.
Final. Because he has that ability. He has the finishing ability. We've seen it at the national level. He is our all-time leader in men's goals. We've seen it at the club level. He got Mallorca through a relegation battle last year. In like 12 games, he had 7 goals or something like that. It was crazy. He has that ability. All he needs is one. One goal will burst the dam, and he will be scoring for this national team again. That's why I can't see a way that you take him out of the 11 because of all of that. The other thing is he knows how to make good runs, which means he's opening up space for everybody else. He knows that he's not running into the lane for where Schaffelberg's going to go because all that's going to do is take out Schaffelberg's greatest strength, right? He knows that he's got to make runs away from where Jonathan David wants to be. And they have that chemistry that he knows that. He's making the right plays. I do think he is the right guy to have as the number 9. Potentially, if you wanted to go 2 strikers side by side, I'd be okay with that. I know they're playing David in behind. I wouldn't have a problem with having them be side by side, but I don't mind David in the 10. I actually think he's been very good in this tournament playing that 10 role because he does come and get the ball and he does distribute it to the wings very well. I would love for him to turn on it a little bit more because I think he has more space than he realizes. And when he runs at players, it creates even more chaos for the opponent, and that's what we really haven't seen. But everyone's very, very critical of Kyle because he hasn't scored, and that's what he's there for. I do think he's been very good in this tournament without scoring a goal. There's my spiel.
No, that is a wonderful soapbox rant because it's true. It's very true. I think arguably being the striker is the hardest position that you could play in the sport in terms of the way that people, it's just this.
Yep.
Because if you're not going to put him home, then nobody cares. And I've been so happy with the tear that Brian Wright's gone on as a York fan, And I don't disagree with you. I think that you're right. I think it's just a tough thing in tournament situations where you say, we understand that once he gets it going, he'll get it going, but there's only so much time to do that. But also taking into account and understanding the context of where we're in now, we're in the semifinals of the tournament. You don't really want to try new things. You definitely not against Argentina.
No,
and
that is not a good team to try
Argentina.
new things against.
No. And like at least we can say that Marsh has tinkered with things, but in a very educated way, and he's figured out what the best formula is, and he's nailed that down. And with the David thing, when I say he's wasted at the 10, it's not because he's a bad 10.
No, I know.
It has everything to do with the fact that I'd like to see him because he can score, and he scored for us in this tournament. But even still, like if you leave everything the way that is, everybody's done well coming off the bench in these roles. Like I've been really impressed with Tanny. He's been phenomenal, I think, coming off the bench as well. So like, I'd like to see some things change, but I understand why that wouldn't end up happening, and I don't think that hurts us.
No.
That we're gonna if we stick with what we have.
Not at all. Not at all. I actually think it benefits us to stick with what we have right now, just because, as you said, why fix it if it's not broken?
That's it's been the narrative.
Why? You might as well keep it. And Argentina is making adjustments because they're not playing great. Now, it's small tinkerings here and there, but they're also making adjustments, which means they're not feeling super confident about the way they're playing. Again, they're a very, very good side. They are a great side. So they know how to win games. They know what to do in these big moments. So this is going to be a test. And this is one of the biggest moments in Canadian soccer history.
It's crazy.
Right? And I'm going to pose the question to you, Josh, because we've talked about the game now. I want to get to what it means for Canada, what it means for this national program, what it means for both the men's and the women's side as a whole, like the whole of the national program. Because it's been thrown around a lot on social media that this is the biggest moment in Canadian soccer history. So I have two questions for you, because I actually don't agree with that. But I have two questions for you. First one, is this the biggest game for Canadian men's soccer? And the second one, is this the biggest game for Canadian soccer, period?
Brilliant. I think in terms of the level at which we're playing, it's massive. You know what I mean? Like you can make an argument that the first game of the World Cup, to get into the World Cup, to be able to play in that tournament was huge.
So 1980s, the way back, or this one?
Well, sorry, like this past one, we're talking like this current crop.
No, we're talking all time though. The question
it's
is
true.
all
It's true.
time.
It's true. It's okay. It's definitely it's not the biggest game all time. I don't think. I think that there has been other moments that getting there in you have to have a starting point.
Yes.
And I think that being in the World Cup in the 1980s was huge.
Yes.
Because that was just it. It showed that we can be a footballing nation. And so that sets the tone.
Took a while to get back there, but yeah, we can do it.
Exactly. That's I think that's the biggest thing. But it's a bit strange. Like it's almost between accolades versus morale, if that makes sense. Like that's almost how I view it. Like I think the magnitude of being in the semifinals of a competition like the Copa America, which is the longest running continental competition, that's insane. You know what I mean? That's huge. Yep. I feel like it's a little bit more of when you talk about being a part of World Cups, they almost feel like moral victories in a sense, because we walked into Qatar and it wasn't like we thought we were gonna it would have been great if we made it to the knockouts. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, we just got a really good group.
Yeah.
That hurt.
So it's tough. It's a double-sided thing for me, where it's you have to see it in multiple contexts. So in terms of just the actual achievement and what it would mean for the trophy cabinet, for lack of a better term, you know what I mean? There's a chance for a bronze, a bronze medal game. So for that side of things, yes. But for the overarching, if you're looking at the history of Canada soccer, this is not the most important game, I don't think.
Okay.
In men's soccer.
Okay. I just lost my camera somehow. I don't know really what happened there.
This is frozen. No.
I'm frozen, so we're just going to cut it to a shot of you while I figure that out.
I think you said the second question was, and the men's and women's side, right?
All of Canada soccer now.
Yeah, all of Canada soccer. The 2021 Olympics, 2020 Olympics, whatever. That gold medal game, the greatest moment in Canadian soccer for me, I think. I that was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was a great summer for me as a soccer fan because Italy had just won the Euros, and then I get to see Canadian women's side win a gold at the Olympics on penalties. Julia Grosso steps up, and there was aspects where I was like, Julia Grosso, Fabio Grosso, both put it home to score the game-winning penalty. There was a lot of big things, but that was just an incredible achievement. They've been pushing it for so long. Like for me, throughout my lifetime, the Canadian women's national side has been that team.
Yes.
I didn't bat an eye at the men's side because I was just like, they're just not.
They weren't
not
worth watching for a while.
They weren't worth
and even
watching
guys who played on that team would say the same thing.
So for me, the women's side has been what's propelled the program forward. I think they have like that. Was it the 2014 Olympics, the bronze medal game that they played against the United States? That was massive. Like
Yep.
it feels like they have been building something. For
Mhm.
me, they are at the epicenter of the growth of the game in Canada,
Yes.
and so when you taking all things into account, I think that from the biggest game in Canadian soccer history was being able to win gold at the Olympics over Sweden on penalties because it's just like just chills and in an empty stadium like it was Sink's last Olympics. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So yeah, no, I it's tough. I don't know. Is it like I have like almost nostalgia? It's been 3 years. I was gonna say like even if we were to win the Copa, it's we can't. I don't want to look too far ahead, but it'd be an interesting thing to think about.
Yep.
How do those two games kind of compare? But yes, so those are my overall thoughts.
Fair enough. No, and
Where
it's a tough conversation to have because how do you compare the first World Cup game that we lost to a semifinal in a major continental tournament? Like it's really really tough. The other conversation that we can have, we're just talking men's, but we're going to separate the two because I'm answering the first question again. If we're just talking men's, what about the Gold Cup in 2000 where no one expected us to be anywhere close and we win the whole thing on the back of Craig Forrest and that incredible run that those men had? They won a tournament. They won a continental tournament.
no,
Is this match, a semifinal match against the number one team in the world, more valuable to the program, more important to the program, the biggest moment in the program that has a continental trophy? Right? I think a lot of people are forgetting that because it is the Gold Cup, but if we're actually having the conversation, we've been in a final. Not only been in a final, we've won a final.
there you
It
go.
is the Gold Cup. I get it. It's not on the same scale of the Copa, but neither is a final and a semifinal. Like the final is more important. That's what you play for, to get to the final for a chance to raise the trophy.
Yeah,
You don't play for the semi. Like that doesn't happen. As I lose my camera again, something's really wrong with my camera.
no,
Uh, you don't play for the semi. You play for the final, and we're not playing very well for the final right now. Or we're sorry, we are playing very well for the final right now, and they're really the question becomes: do we use that as the barometer, or really is it really the fact that we're in the Copa semi? Is that the difference? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's the biggest. I think for a lot of people who aren't necessarily that deep into things in terms of the Canadian soccer landscape, if you just look at it from the outside, yeah, I mean, you're going up against Argentina in a Copa America, which is a historied competition, against the team that just won the World Cup. But that's just it. I think it's hard. I think it's hard for a lot of the Canadian soccer fans, to be able to look back at that sort of stuff. Like, I mean, I wasn't alive for that victory, unfortunately.
I was 5. I remember
Yeah,
that. I
yeah,
had just started playing soccer a year prior.
wicked.
Like
That's
it was huge for me. So for me,
yeah.
I would actually like if I'm arguing the conversation, I'd actually lean the Gold Cup. If Canada makes it to this final, it would be that. But right now, if I'm talking just right now, that Gold Cup win was more valuable to the program. And if we're talking about the national program as a whole, it has to be the Olympic gold and it has to be the bronze medal game against the U.S. in the Olympics for the women's side
Yeah.
that are on par with those two that I've mentioned for the men. Right? But that's where we're at. We're having conversations about the most impactful moment on a program, and it hasn't happened yet because it's on its way. And we just got the starting 11 for Canada. It has been announced, and Kone is in. Oso is out. He is on the bench, but the rest of the 11 stayed the same. Josh, you
What?
look shocked by this. I don't know why you're shocked by this because I think he looked really good, but there it is.
I'm t- I just spent the last, I don't know how long we've been on here, the last 50 minutes, well, not necessarily, but it doesn't matter, whatever. I agreed with you that we didn't need any changes.
Yeah.
And now Marsh is going to go do this to me.
Yeah.
God, I contradict myself because I was like, well, he kind of won me over and I'm like that. But at the same time, I'm like,
I did a good job convincing you.
yeah. You know what I mean? It's
No,
like,
but you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the beauty of it right now, right? We've seen Oso come off the bench.
yeah.
He plays well off the bench. We know if something isn't right and Kone doesn't look great like he did in the first game against Argentina, we know Oso will be in.
This better be the greatest redemption arc of all time. Like, he's already won the hearts of
He's
everybody
already done
because-
that. He scored
Yeah, I know.
he scored the pen. He's
this is-
redemptioned himself.
No, okay, he has to redeem himself to me as a very critical soccer fan.
Just the one person. Okay, Okone, you hear that. I know you're not listening because you're getting ready for a match. You need to redeem yourself to Josh, okay? He's
That's
the
it.
only person that matters, apparently.
He needs a 95% pass completion, or it does not justify him being in this squad, in the starting 11. That's what I need. That's the redemption arc for me.
All right. Well, folks, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this, Josh. This is a huge moment. We are ready for it. Is there anything you want to add before we allow people to get ready for the match in their own special way?
Yes, I had one question that was burning in my head.
Okay, shoot.
Which was, what is actually the best outcome heading into the 2026 World Cup? Is it we
doesn't
beat
matter to me.
Argentina? It doesn't matter. So
I don't.
so,
I don't
you
think any one outcome is going to give us any momentum more than we've already gotten.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? Because either way, we're playing 6 matches against good competition. Either way, we have some really good friendlies coming up. Because we're not playing in qualifying, we don't get those matches. So for me, I don't think it really matters what the result is because we've already shown that we can play with the big boys. We've already shown that we have the ability to do this in North America.
Yeah.
We've shown that we can do it against the Southern Americans. Now we have the opportunity to maybe exceed even more expectations of this side. But if they lose today, I don't think it matters. In the grand scheme of things for momentum for the World Cup. I don't think it matters.
Fair enough. Like the thing for me was I was almost like, if we bow out to Argentina and then we go and we win that third place game versus we beat Argentina, huge, wonderful Marabus, and then we get knocked 4-0 by Colombia or Uruguay. Like, to me, if those are the two sort of scenarios, what ends up being a more beneficial outcome? But you're saying, regardless, just to get to the point where we've been able to play the full length.
Yeah, I think the only outcome that would hurt this side is a 4 or 5-0 drubbing.
Yeah.
That is the only way. In any of the next 2 games, whether it happens tonight or in the gold or bronze medal game, whatever we end up playing in. Or third place match. I don't think it's technically called bronze medal.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I said it too. I just don't think it's technically called bronze medal, but you know what I mean. I think that is the only thing that could hurt momentum, but I don't see that happening. So I just don't see any result really killing the momentum of this side because of how they're playing, because of the brotherhood, because of everything that we talk about.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right? This has been a monumental success. This Copa experience has been so incredible that I don't think any result will hurt them. Could any result benefit them? Absolutely. If they raise the trophy at the end of this, that is huge. They will not go play in the Finalissima, by the way. Just want to make sure that's very clear to everybody.
Okay, hold on a second.
Only
that.
the South American team can play in the Finalissima because it is the highest South American side versus the highest Euro side. That's what the Finalissima is. It's not an international competition. It's a Europe versus South America. So the second place team, if Canada wins, the second place team will go play. Does it matter? No, it does not matter. If we win the trophy, no one's gonna care because we will have won the Copa.
Yeah.
And I think that is the only way that this team gets more momentum than they've already gotten out of this tournament.
Dude, you said it perfectly. And then last thing before we dip, predictions. What is the outcome of this game?
2-1 Argentina.
200. Who's the goal scorers for Canada?
I
Or the goal
really hope
scorer?
it's Laren.
So it's gonna be Kyle. And who scores for Argentina?
Probably Martinez because he's been on a bit of a hot streak. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I like Alexis McAllister. He's been flying for Argentina. He's one of the few guys who I think has played really well. And he doesn't have a goal yet in this tournament, I'm pretty sure, last time I checked. So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets one. What about you?
Fair enough. I don't know. I gotta say optimistic as somebody who's consistently cynical. So I think that we can take it 2-1, and I think that Jonathan David will put us up first, and then Argentina's gonna claw their way back, and then you're gonna see who do I want? Who's gonna put away the second goal?
Derek Cornelius.
I think he's the greatest header you've ever seen in your entire life.
From half.
No,
I think
I'm gonna give it a Jonathan David brace. I think that's what's gonna happen.
brace for David. All right.
A Jonathan David brace.
All
Is gonna be
right.
the story of this one. We're gonna take it 2-1.
All right.
Thank you all.
Well, it's going to be a good one. And we got an hour till kickoff. Make sure you tune in to
Pretty good.
TSN, folks. And if you are in the car driving, because some people have to be, turn into TSN 1050. Brendan Dunlop is on the call for the radio broadcast, which is going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Make sure you tune in because this is a massive moment, despite what I just said about it not being the biggest moment in Canadian history, in my opinion. This is a massive moment. Please be there. Enjoy it. Live vicariously through the boys because this is a great opportunity, and I'm very excited to see them play. Josh, it's always fun talking to you, my man. We will be back next week. Don't you worry. Until then, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.